Off that good win on Wednesday here, running third up the centre of the track. So 4-1, we got the numbers in the frame officially. Number 7 in third place and just awaiting fourth officially from the judge. Number 8, Hard Rotor. 4-1, 7 and 8, 19 and 61 the time. 3/4 of a length by 1 3/4. So 3/4 by 1 3/4 for the numbers 4, 1, 7 and 8 on race number 5 here at Healesville. 19 and 61 the time. And a Thai Butterfly here for David Schwartz. Running good time. Run home 13:02. And a Thai Butterfly setting a new PB here at Healesville as well. So further congratulations to David. 19 and 61, the new PB. Number 4, Thai Butterfly, the Black Daughter of Basketball from Zipping Jamie, October 21.
And I've got those, Vic, thank you. 4, 1, 7 and 8 are official. Number 4, Thai Butterfly at $3.90 and $1.30. 1 King Plum paid $1.70, no third for number 7, Koijai Amici, and 8 Hard Rotor. The Quinella paid $3.20, Exacta $8.30, Trifecta $15, and the first 4 $44 for 4, 1, 7 and 8 after the first leg of the quaddie at Healesville.
On RSN Racing and Sport, it's time for the grey areas with Jason Adams and George Ferrugia.
That kid was a human dynamo.
Are you sure you're talking about George?
George of the jungle, friend to you and me.
Good afternoon and welcome to Grey Areas. It is Friday. It's time to have a bit of fun as well. Sink our teeth into what is a really strong night of racing at the Meadows tomorrow for week 2 of the Australian Cup. My name's Jason Adams. I'm joined by the number 1 ticket holder for Married at First Sight. Our speaker, Georgie Ferrugia. Great to see you, my friend.
Hello, mate. Married at First Sight. Happy Valentine's Day. Love is in the air, mate.
Happy Valentine's Day to you.
Absolutely.
Actually, you raise a good point. Look what I've brought along for you too.
What have you got?
Just to express my love and thanks from this Valentine's Day. A
look
couple
at
of boxes
this,
of
yeah.
roses.
What a nice man.
They won't last a
Fantastic.
day in the studio, will they, Johnny?
No, Andrew Bensley, they'll be gone.
Absolutely.
I won't even.
Friday feast.
I won't
It'll
even
be a
get.
real feast in here.
I won't even get to unwrap one.
You got to be quick. Any flowers for the lovely, mate? What's happening?
No, I
What's
didn't
the
sort
plan?
any flowers. Safe to say, wasn't the most organised gentleman in the world,
It's okay.
but I didn't fail. So still got a bit of time
Yeah, it's mate.
to sort that out,
The
don't I,
night's
George?
young, mate.
How
The
about
night's
you?
young. Yeah, I got up early, went for a walk, got there before the florist opened, and handed the flowers to Nate and James, and they handed them to their mum, and she
Didn't want to take
absolutely
ownership
loved it.
yourself?
Oh, well, she knows where the bread's buttered, mate. But yeah, the boys jumped in and they loved it.
She knows where the bread's buttered.
They loved
Well,
it.
you did enough bringing her into the studio on Wednesday to spectate Grey Areas, did you?
Well, that's right. We had a lovely lunch. Do you have a list of things that people do that annoy you that you don't want to hang around with those type of people?
Oh, I don't keep a list, but
No, I don't keep a list, but every year you get people going, it's a made-up holiday. I'm not going to buy some flowers. Just buy some flowers, you cheapskate.
No, it's
You
a
know
con.
what I mean?
No, it's a con.
It's just
It's
buy
a con, John.
Just
Yeah.
buy some
Tell
flowers.
us more.
It brings a smile to their face. Like just gets. I don't do it every year. It's not like it's a religion, but I mean, just buy some flowers once in a while. It's lovely.
talk to us, Johnny.
John says no.
I tell you what, it always means a lot more to them if you do it on a day that's not a commercially promoted day. Just
Unless
go home.
they say, "What
just
have
go
you done
home one
wrong?"
day when they're not expecting it.
Commercially promoted.
I reckon you'll get a better reaction.
Usually you get a reaction that says, "What have you done wrong?"
Yeah, before okay, there's the flowers.
Yeah, there's the flowers. Okay.
What's the problem?
You having the boys over for about a 12-hour drinking session? Anyway. Okay.
All right, big show ahead. Obviously, we'll touch on the Meadows. Robbie Britton is going to join us. Really keen to speak seriously with him and also have a joke at the end of that segment as well. If you want to text in at any point throughout Grey Areas today, do so in 0416 90 50 52. We've already had a message come in. Nameless, Orly Bale, last leg of a 5-figure collect.
I'm gonna have to go out of here in a disguise, Jason, to get out alive.
I hope they don't know where the studio is.
We meatloafed last night. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Yeah, unfortunately, Orly Bale, he just couldn't get there, could he? And they were just highballing out in front. Gee, it was a big run by Aston Gozo, wasn't it?
It was a big run. Even ethanol volume bounced back to some sort of form. We'll speak more about that soon. But from a tipping point of view, you said 2 out of 3 ain't bad. How about the man Dan Hibbard? Tipped half the card.
Did he?
6 out of 12. Ethan Christian, I'm told, tipped 9 out of 12.
I tell you what, Dan Hibbard, he's just had the Fashions in the Field where he won that. He's had a big 6 months, Dan.
Oh, I can't remember the score. Mr. something, wasn't he? I can't remember. Mr. Nathalia, that was his name.
That's right. Yeah. Won hands and heels that day. So.
Presented by Jamie Carr. Has to be seen to be believed. And there was
good
a
night
multi circulating last night as well from the great Matty Field, who I'm sure is a listener here, turned $5 into almost $3,000 with a multi that was surrounded with the first 10 races at Sandown last night.
I'm going to hit Matty up. I want him to buy a pup, and then I'm going to get him to give me a share in one.
Well, I hope he's tuning in.
favour.
So, Matty, you've got about $3,000 to play with. Well done. We love to see it. And text him what you're going to do with that coin as well.
Now, sorry, before we go on, your darts multi. What happened? First leg, yes?
Well, first leg, it was Luke Littler versus Rob Cross.
Yep.
Littler was down 5-1, and then I tuned in. It was 5-2, but he still had the 180s covered. Went on to win. Obviously, the 180s was no issue. Then we needed Stephen Bunting to get more 180s against Michael Van Gerwen. He got absolutely embarrassed.
What was
Bunting.
his name? Michael Van Gerwen. I said to you, bloody Robbie Reiner or something. What
are you talking about? I saw that this morning. I thought it was some
sorry, I got the name completely
joke
wrong.
that's prehistoric to my vintage.
No, sorry about it. So we didn't have any.
No, we didn't. He lost 6-1 and only lost the 180 count by 1.
Oh, okay.
So we got stitched up, but we move on. Anything else at Sandown last night you wanted to highlight, Georgie?
No, pretty good meeting, wasn't it? A couple of greyhounds that are probably going to start getting ready for the launching pad, hopefully, but we've still got a month or so away from that, don't we? A month and a half. But no, good meeting. Everything's leaning towards Saturday night at the Meadows.
And you speak about the launching pad from self-interest as well.
I haven't bought anything yet. I might after
You
last
won the
night.
first at Sandown last night pretty impressively.
Yeah, he went okay. Yeah.
Went okay.
Yeah. There's a couple that went better.
It's a good series. Looking forward to building up to that. In the meantime, we turn our attention to the Meadows tomorrow night. Later on in the show, we'll touch on each of the Australian Cup semi-finals, as well as heats of the Fanta Bale Stayers, and one man who will play a big role in that. We heard some big guests this week, George. We heard from Craig McRae on Wednesday, Jamie Ennis, who's fit and seems to be destined for a start in the rodeo sometime in the future. And speaking of fit, it's time to welcome in our guest for today, Robbie Britton. Robbie, happy Valentine's Day to you, mate. What have you treated your lovely wife, Mary, to?
She's out shopping at the moment, so she's probably buying herself something. Yeah.
Awesome.
Robbie, we want to speak to you about Unreal Speed. Clearly, he was an X factor going into last Saturday's Zoom top. He was fresh going in. The confidence out of the camp seemed pretty strong. So from what you saw last week, first up since last May, what was your take from it?
Yeah, I was happy with the run. He's. I was confident going into the run. He was as good as I could get him, and I think the breed itself's just they're natural stayers. So I wasn't particularly worried about the short preparation. I just think it's more to do with the breed. They can run 700, so I wasn't worried about that. More concerned about the fact that been 8 months since he's been in a field with another dog, and I think a little bit of match practice is always good, and that was my only concern.
Rob, obviously you've trained some of the great stayers, especially in the last decade or so. So you'll be able to answer this question probably better than anyone. We hear often, or we also see it, that we think that sometimes second up there's a little bit of a flat spot with a greyhound in a race. Is that something that's different individually for greyhounds, or do you think there's some merit behind that? Give us your thoughts around that second up run.
I think there's two types of stayer. There's one that it knocks them around a little bit because they barely get it, and they're the dogs that need time to recover. And what I just mentioned before, this particular breed, which is basically the Ivers breed, they're bred over probably 3 decades to stay, and that's what they do. And recovery is not an issue with these sort of dogs as long as you've got them reasonably fit. They can run the 700, or the majority of them can anyway. So I'm not particularly worried about it, but you are right. There are a lot of dogs that they have a gut buster simply because they run like sprinters, but they actually stay their first run, but it takes them a while to recover from that.
Unreal Speed hasn't had many starts, and when he appeared on the scene Sandown Cup time last year, we thought, what is this bloke capable of? And It's only natural, Robbie, in sport and racing, our brains move on and we forget about stars that have been out of action for some time. Now that he's back, we've seen him perform well last week. We expect him to perform well tomorrow night. What are your ambitions for him for the rest of 2025?
Look, I'll be honest, if he stays down, I'll be happy. That's the key to him. He's had an interrupted career to date, even though he's only had 12 starts. And I'll be happy. Look, to be honest, he's a dog that his ability's there. There's no question about that. But he's built like a giraffe. He's 36 kilos and it's all leg. And I do feel that he needs galloping room. He's a dog that he can mess up bends. He can get into trouble in field. So he needs a little bit of luck as well. It's not just the ability side of it. And I think even last week we saw that he. Going out of the straight, he galloped on the Reds' heels. Then up the back, he got checked again. And I think it's more to do with his awkwardness rather than anything else. And again, so I'm not getting too far ahead of myself in that respect because I'd just like to see him get another, half a dozen runs under his belt to condition to racing.
Rob, you've spoken about his pedigree a few times. I think I've mentioned on radio a few times as well that I think Space Star is one of the more talented, if not the most talented stayer I've ever seen. And why I say that, Rob, is I know you've had Nelly Noodles and you've had Tornado Tears and Fana Bale. They were all absolute champions and guns, but I love the way he would show speed and then break their hearts. I mean, his high-end speed would have been incredible. Do you still shake your head at the fact that he's probably only been used as a sire a handful of times? Is it something that I know in Australia and probably around the world too, we do tend to look for speed more than anything. And if they run over 700 metres, they put a line through them. But that dog's ability, I mean, and we're seeing it through unreal speed. I mean, do you sometimes think, well, he should have served probably 50 instead of just 8 or 9?
Oh, I've got no doubts about that. It's the fashion industry and people they shy away from stayers. But a dog like Space Star, if you'd put him around the meadows on his own over 500, would have won 29.70. And I can't actually recall, but he's unreal speed the other day. We put him round, when I say 3 weeks ago, we put him around the meadows and he went 29.74. Yeah. So what I'm getting at is they're not just stayers. They can run further. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And as I said, in this day and age, I think every breeder should be trying to get a dog that can run 500 metres. And with breeding dogs like him, you're nearly guaranteed, not 500, you'd be possibly 600 and 700.
And just quickly, Robbie, I noticed that he has had a recent mating, and that is one of the Daily Greyhound Farms syndicate to a female who was pretty successful in America. That's exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And, George Daly's hooked onto it. And I don't think there's a lot of straws around. I've got a litter here and George has got a litter. But that's about it, I think. I don't think there's many more after that.
Robbie, you've been synonymous with your involvement in greyhound racing over in the United States, and you did bring over a greyhound last year called His Hell Bent. So I went to check for an update on him earlier today, and he's with Ross Lyons. So did you throw the towel in with him? Did he just not match up to your expectations for what he was showing in the US? Yeah,
exactly. He, for some reason, and I can't explain it, but he won 12 races in the US over 500 metres. He came out here and he couldn't run the 500 metres. He was running 400 metres, downhill. I can't explain that. He looked fit. He looked healthy. What the difference was, I just don't know. I have seen it once before where a dog's done that. And, I've got a million theories, but we really just don't understand it.
Yeah, Rob, because obviously that theory that for those that have been to American tracks, they run in sort of heavier ground. So if you're running 500 there, you should get it here. Give us the state of play in America, Rob. Recently, obviously, we've seen the terrible decision in New Zealand. How many tracks are we up to left in America?
There's only 2 left in America. They're both in West Virginia.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's overly promising in that the same company that's owned a lot of the tracks that have closed down own those 2 tracks. Okay. So I wouldn't be I'd be fairly pessimistic that it's got a long time to go.
And Robbie, when you've in the past brought up greyhounds in the US, I spoke to someone this morning who suggested they've been reared in the snow. What sort of difference do you take from an education and upbringing point of view here in Australia to having them gallop around in the snow in the US?
Look, it's funny. Look, we had a farm in America for a while, and I couldn't get over how the pups absolutely love the snow. And it'd be -10, and they'd go out and play in it all day. So that sort of didn't worry them at all. In fact, they loved it, and I didn't, but they did.
Rob, just back to Unreal Speed, shopping at around $1.80, so he's obviously favourite. He's up against a greyhound called Late Night News, who ran pretty well at Albion Park. You'd probably know the greyhound with a couple of your greyhounds up there with your son Tim. Yep. Vacant box on his outside. You're pretty bullish about his chances? Yeah,
look, as I said earlier, on ability-wise, I'm reasonably confident. On his awkwardness, he's a dog that can get beat. And as I said, that's my only concern. And if we can get even 2 or 3 more runs into him where he gets in a field, because as I said, last week was his first field for 8 months, and he's only coming out of puppy racing. As I say, I think that's his biggest hurdle, is getting through a field.
And Robbie, we'll get Healesville quickly, and we'll stick with you after that race as well. But just on the US side of things and what George Daly is doing at the moment with the Daly Greyhounds, we're seeing a lot of international sires, a lot of international broods. How much credit do you give to him for jumping in the deep end like he has? And, it's big risk. And as you said, it's a fashion industry. So how big of a risk he's taken compared to the results he's getting at the moment?
Yeah, I think George has realised that the gene pool in Australia and everywhere around the world is shrinking, and he's gone for the outcross while it's still there. And I think that you've got to give him a lot of credit. I think he's followed Paul Wheeler to the letter, where he rears really well. He's imported the bitches and put them to Australian sires, and he's even used sires from overseas as well. And he's got a situation now he can basically breed to anything. So you've got to give him a lot of credit, and it's a lot of hard work as well.
100%, and I'm sick of talking serious with you, Robbie, so we're going to have some fun after this race at Healesville, which is coming up just about on start time. Short price favourite, number 8, Rob the Butcher, fittingly as well. Let's get the Victoria there at the Ville.
Start our loading process, Jason. Thank you. We're just at the start, just awaiting our green light to come on. There we go. The amber light flashing away. Destiny Paladin, certainly with plenty of support to run from the red, but Rob the Butcher, all the rage, and the short price leg running from the pink here today. A little more room in the centre there for Burn the Witch box 4 and Cash Now with the empty box 5. But Rob the Butcher can cross from the outside very well. Let's see how they go. The green light is switched on. We're ready to run, and they're off and chasing. And Rob the Butcher got away to a lovely start. Marino nicely away. Coming to the centre there is Burn the Witch. Or getting a bit of a tuss-up there is Cash Now, is now looking towards the inside rail. Collided with a few Destiny Paladin. At this point, Tinkerdan is back to last. Running towards the lead here. It's Russianberry out in front on the inside. Cash Now, the outside runs Destiny Paladin. Cash Now's got up and won. Cash Now railed up to victory here. Just to pit Russianberry on the line. Then we had next to Destiny Paladin. Tinkerdan was out in the deep there. Burn the Witch. Rob the Butcher in advance of him, who looked to have come a cropper there at Box Rise, and Marino, one of the last in 19 and 67 the time. The split there in 6:54. Cash Now from Maria Barber. Getting up, taking out the 6th event. Well, at Box Rise there, Rob the Butcher coming across from the outside there, and a number of them getting a little close to one another, and going towards the centre of the track there was Cash Now with an unimpeded run. Destiny Paladin driving up on the inside rail from Russianberry. And Tinkerdan there as well out deep. 3/4 by 2, 3/4 by 2, the split in 6:54, 19 and 66 the time. So Rob the Butcher not faring too well, colliding there with one mid-race also. But staying out of trouble. Cash Now getting the run and tearing away to victory in 19.66. PB still stands of 19 and 33, running 19 and 66 here today. The run home 13.12.
So 6, 2, 1 and 3. Thank you, Vic. Number 6, Cash Now, adding more value to the quaddy today at $9.80 and $3.70. 2, Russian Berry, the place, $7.40. No third div. Number 1, Destiny Paladin. And number 3, Tinker Dan. So 6, 2, 1 and 3. The Quinella, $92. The Exacta, $68. Victoria Shaw's trifecta in the race, if you're following her today, $252. Nice result, Vic. And the first 4, $1,221. The running double is a very small jackpot of $8. Race number 7, Victoria went 8, 5, 4 and 2. Jason.
Thank you, John. And we're joined by Robbie Britton here on Grey Areas. We had a good chat about Unreal Speed. We've had a good chat about the US, and now it's time to have a bit of fun. So, Robbie, I need your confirmation on or denial on this mail that I've been given. Now, I'm told recently there was a slippery situation at your joint in Lara. You were watching some reruns of Dr. Phil in the afternoon with your lovely wife, Mary. All of a sudden, a tiger snake has come through the lounge room. Mary's given the snake catcher a call in Lara, and you've had one job, to keep an eye on the snake, and you fell asleep. This couldn't be true, could it?
I definitely didn't fall asleep, I can tell you about that.
So what'd you do?
Well, exactly that. We had a dog racing in Brisbane at the time, and Benny Do, and he jumped out of the boxes, and Mary just yelled out snake. So I didn't see the end of the race, but we had a snake in the lounge room, and it went under something. So I just got the torch and kept it on it while Mary rang the snake catcher. So that was. I feel like burning the house down, I can tell you. I can't handle that at all.
And Robbie, I've got to give credit to Jason because he's given me this little piece of information, but I can't believe this is true either, only because my dear old dad used to work on your farm for a while, and Jason has said to me that you keep your beer in the pantry so you're not attracted to it, so it's not cold and you won't drink it. The beer was always cold at your house. Surely that's not correct.
No, I'll leave it there because I get that many mates that come down looking for beer, so they don't want to drink them.
Fair enough, Rob.
Hey, Robbie, I understand there's a story behind a greyhound by the name of Springbok Bale when you went to Wentworth Park many a moons ago. What can you tell us?
Oh, no, you've been talking to, yeah. We went up there and it was a throw at the stumps. He was a 500-metre dog, and we put him over 700 metres because we thought the rating over the 700 metres at the time was pretty weak. He led by 15 or 20 lengths, and he won by a nose. And when the time came up, he smashed the first section record. And so the chief steward at the time, Mr. Potter, the famous Mr. Potter, said, "No, that can't be right. No time taken." And that was it. So we never got it.
Unbelievable. And speaking of Sydney, you were there to witness Tony Lockett's 1300th goal?
Yes, we were there. We nearly got lost getting there, but this is you've got me on the line there.
So what are you doing later on tonight, Robbie? Your wife's Mary's gone out to the shops. What are you going to do? You're going to finally put some beers in the fridge and enjoy a nice night together, or what's the go?
I might put 2 in there just for fun, but once the work's finished, yeah. But if there's anyone coming down, they'll be in the pantry.
Perfect.
You're a superstar, Robbie. Thank you so much for joining us here on Grey Areas, and most of all, best of luck with your boy Unreal Speed tomorrow night.
Okay, see you, boys.
The great Robbie Britton there, speaking Unreal Speed and all sorts of other things, Georgie. He's a legend.
Great greyhound mind, especially with all things international. It really dipped his toe in the water with having a farm in America, race greyhounds over there. Absolutely. Just a text that have come through. Afternoon, boys. Would love your thoughts on a couple of greyhounds. Warrigal race 6, number 2, for Pete's sake. We'll start there. Up against the greyhound called Dr. Asher, who went 23.85 at Sale over the 4.35. The track record there was 24.10 for a little while, so that's a cracking run. I see Dr. Asher is favourite, but for Pete's sake, is looking for 460. So if you're keen on him, probably have a bit of a crack. And does the little champ Tim Zoo just win again at the Meadows? Well, I'm not going to say he can't win, Jace, but I'm not tipping him on top. But we've done that last week. He got up. But look, again, it's a tough little race. I'm not saying he can't win, but $4.80 is certainly, you wouldn't want it much shorter than that, I'd say.
Yeah, indeed. Tim from Kilsyth, great supporter of the show. Let's hone into that Meadows card tomorrow night. We'll start with the heats of the Fenner Bale Stayers, and we see Ethanol Water as a short price favourite at $1.50, George, and that's really difficult for me to swallow, given the way she performed last week, where her run home time was at least 6 lengths off every other runner in the field. That is not her.
Well, that's not her. And we spoke about the Stewards report that found an injury. But again, Team Daly, you trust them to the hill and back because they wouldn't be putting her in if they didn't think she was right. So if she is right, Jason, she shouldn't be $1.50. She should be $1.20 in this race, let's be honest. So I think maybe there might be a bit of a drift with that supposed injury cloud if you listen to what the stewards had to say. But again, they wouldn't put her in if they didn't think she was fit and firing. She should just win that race.
Yeah, she didn't look good last week, but you're so right what you say about Team Daly. If she come out and brain them tomorrow night, you just wouldn't fall over.
No.
You wouldn't fall over. I think Flying Envy is a great value in that race. She's a greyhound that generally performs well fresh.
Yeah.
Even after if it's just a week.
Nice PB at Sandown too, so can clearly run over this distance. There's a little bit of speed in that race too, so that might be a little bit of a fly in the ointment for Ethanol Water, but in terms of class, she's got them covered.
Yep, $9.50 I think is good shopping. All right, heat 2 of the stayers, and we've got your girl Groovebird as favourite, George, $2.50. What do you make of that and her chances?
Yeah, look, it's a bit of a speed battle between her and Raya Star. They've both got similar splits, Jace, over this track and distance, so whoever can find the top there, and then you've got the backmarkers in Infrarock and Irish Millie. And they're more than capable of running what Groovebird and Raya Star can up front. So again, I wouldn't want to be taking any less than $2.50, but really proud of our girl, and especially her last 4 to 6 weeks of racing have been really good. She did a PB last week of 42.70 odd, and I think that's about her mark.
And Infrarock in that race, he ran home in 11 seconds flat in his last 700 at Sandown. That is very good.
It is, and the Meadows will suit him even more, you'd suggest, because it's an even tougher run. So, yeah, you don't want him sort of camped on you.
Race 5, heat 3 of the stayers, and this is the strongest of them, no doubt about that. Late Night News, Pass Mark, Unreal Speed, they dominate the market. On what we saw last week from Unreal Speed, what Robbie's told us today, do you think he wins the race?
Yeah, I do. I know Robbie's put forward his concerns, and he'd be the one you listen to. The gangly 36-kilo dog is a concern. You don't want him to sort of get shuffled back, but his run was absolutely fantastic, Jason. And if he finds anywhere near the top, I know Late Night News is a good dog. He trialled 42.90 there, which is good, and he'll improve off that. But Unreal Speed's a 42.40, 42.50 dog. And, you know, that'll beat anyone in this field. So I think he'll get room to move early, and I think he's hard to beat.
That is a ripping contest. Looking forward to that. Semi-final number 1 of the Australian Cup is race 7. Vincent Bale did open up at $2. He's now $1.85, and I just couldn't find a good enough reason to take him on.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's a little bit of speed drawn next to him. That's the only fly in the ointment. He just wants to stay out of that sort of trouble. But again, Jace, in terms of his ability, he's got these covered. I mean, there is some speed in the race, I must say. Dacey's Rory, forget its run last start, missed the kick. It's better than that. We've seen that in the Phoenix where it was vying for the lead. Sharapova Star's got speed. We're talking about these greyhounds to the first 100 metres in terms of their ability to get there as quick as Vincent Bale can. But then he opens up a Learjet where they aren't as quick. He's drawn very well. I mean, yeah, $2, $1.85. We know what we're getting with him. Again, it'd be hard to beat.
For any listeners out there wanting to follow Craig McRae's greyhound, he's number 8 Reaper in that race at the Meadows tomorrow night. Race number 7, semi-final number 2, Flying Zulu comes up with a red again. And his main dangers are drawn wide in Lakeview Emily and Mapunga Tully. So good contest, but Flying Zulu holds the cards.
What a cracking race. And you can throw in Paul Oswald too, who's a very talented greyhound. But look, it's a simple thing that if Mapunga Tully can lead this race, are you confident that Flying Zulu can run her down? Probably not. I mean, her splits are fantastic all the way around, Jace. She's a terrific greyhound. If she leads, she probably wins. So she's going to have her supporters at $2.80 here. Which way are you leaning?
In the semi-final 2, I'm leaning towards Flying Zulu. And there's a theory that Nathan Rooney brought to the broadcast last Saturday night about Mapunga Tully, in that when she goes to a track fresh, that's when she fires.
Yeah.
And back-to-back weeks at the same track, she hasn't been able to replicate performances. So she's got to shake that monkey off the back tomorrow night in that semi-final. Semi-final 3, I think, is the deepest and most open. Smooth playing, your boy, Deadly Avenger, Tim Zoo, Hotel Whiskey 1. This is a belting race.
What a cracking race. I find it really hard to see where I lean here because I'm a big fan of smooth playing, but you can't tip on your heart. It's got to be your head. And I'm not suggesting that looking at that and saying that he can't win, but His last couple of starts have just been probably a little bit below his absolute best, but if he brings his A game, obviously there's some speed in the race, Jace. I'm going to stick with him, but I'm not going in with a whole heap of confidence.
Final semi-final, which is race 10 at the Meadows. Kenya All Class, Motion Sensor, Excavation. I think Excavation wins this, in my opinion.
Yeah, out of the 4 heats, this is the one I'm most confident with
Same.
Excavation. I think, especially the greyhounds drawn around him, I think if he begins like we know Excavation can, and I thought his run last week was good too, I think he'll be hard to beat. Obviously, Kenya All Class is a danger, even though he misses the kick and you can get shuffled back a little bit from box 1. But we've seen him the week before, Jump OK, where he fell. And isn't it great that he came back with no ill effects? I mean, that just shows the chasing ability of that greyhound. You've got to hand it to him. But I think Excavation can lead all the way.
Yep, I agree. Okay, so in terms of your best bets for tomorrow night's program in the Meadows, let's hear them.
Okay, Excavation is definitely one of them. I think he'll be incredibly hard to beat. So what race number was that? Sorry, I'm
10.
just getting this up. So race 10, number 5. I think Unreal Speed and him in a multi together is around $4, Jay. So that's where I'm happy to have a bit of a play. There's also a greyhound I like later in the program, and I think you can follow him going forward. The box draw is a little bit sticky, but a greyhound called Make Me King is a greyhound going places. Trained by Harley Whelan. He's had 8 starts. He's won 3 of them. Last start at Warragul, 25.56, Jace. But he's equally adept on circle tracks as well. He did go 29.66 at Sandown. A couple of nice placings there as well. I think he's a pretty talented greyhound. Should get an okay run from there and be hard to beat. So Unreal Speed for me, Excavation, always a hard night, isn't it, these type of nights? But they're the 2 for me, and Make Me King in race number 12.
Brilliant. And what about your obscure outlay? Now, we got the national anthem right for the Super Bowl. You are 10 from 11 with these type of bets. So what have you got for us this week?
So there's NBA All-Stars on a break, so we're not having a go there. The Super Bowl, obviously, NFL's over. We're going to turn our attention to the AFL, the Indigenous All-Stars against Freo.
I've heard it all.
They're $1.80.
Tomorrow night.
Those boys are going to be very proud to play for that jumper, and I think Freo will take this game as just a little bit of a, walk in the park.
So we're betting in an exhibition.
Yes, I think the Indigenous All-Stars can win. I've got a greyhound in tonight in race 8 at Geelong, race 8, number 8, Van Wyck, and that's the multi I've had to play at. The Indigenous All-Stars into Van Wyck.
So are we going with the Indigenous All-Stars as the obscure outlay?
Absolutely.
Solo, not the multi.
Well, solo, yeah. But if you want to throw in that dog, if he doesn't win today, I'll be pretty annoyed.
And if they salute, George, I've actually got a present for you here.
What have we got? This is great.
The purple Gatorade.
Oh, thank you.
And
your
favourite mob.
No.
The Essendon Footy Club on the sticker.
I refuse it. How dare you
Well,
bring
we'll
an
bring it back
Essendon logo
Wednesday.
in here?
We'll bring it back Wednesday, and if we've got the money again, you might have a shower in that purple Gatorade.
In the 15 years that I've known you, that's the worst thing you've ever done to me. Bring me a Gatorade with an Essendon logo on it. God, strike me.
Purple?
You're better than
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, so that game's tomorrow night, yeah?
Yeah, tomorrow night.
All right, brilliant.
Live in the Man Cave.
Okay, on the way to the boxes at Hillsville for the next. If you're keen to tune in tomorrow night at the Meadows, make sure you do so on Sky Racing Active or the Watchdog app. Nathan Rooney, Corey Smith, and yours truly. If you're keen to get out there to the track, it's a kids' night. Free family entertainment, jumping castles, games, face painting, magician show. As you said, George, it's not your Uncle Mars who can make a pineapple disappear pretty quickly in the pokies.
Yep.
Free snack food and much, much more. So contact the Meadows for more information. George, thank you.
And a hello to Hamstring Awareness too. Hopefully he's well. Yeah.
Hopefully he's got ice on that string, ready to rock for a big night on Australian Cup final night. Okay, that's a wrap for Grey Areas. John Henry, thank you. Here is Victoria Shaw for race number 7 at the Ville.
As the amber light is switched on, as we welcome back everyone to the coverage here at Hillsville. Hope you're enjoying your Valentine's Day, no matter where you're tuning in from. The amber light is flashing away. Westside Wizard is the short price elector run from the 8. Good recent victory here over the 300, stepping up to the 350 this afternoon. Point the Finger and Hot Spot coming in for support as well. Just awaiting the amber light to switch to green. It's about to. Stand by for a start. The green light is switched on for the